Hi, I'm Ryan from educate.me, and today I'm going to show you how to automate the creation of student placards. You know, the little signs that you might have for an art show or music projects or projects in your classroom, the little cards that you put with each project for the student. We're going to create them for a hypothetical art show and show you how you can merge from a Google Sheet into Google Slides to make all of them at once, instead of having you manually type in for each card. I'm going to show you the finished product first so you kind of have an idea of where we're going. This is our finished product. Each page is another student's card for their art project. And I took the format from museums that I've seen online, and that's why it's pretty plain, because art projects, it's usually a plain card. If you're doing it for another project, you can add additional graphics, you can color it up, and do whatever you want to it. But today we're just going to mess around with the cards themselves. And to do this, first we need a template. And I've got my template over here. And the template for my art show cards is pretty simple. First step is to go to page setup. We're going to print these out. We're going to format these for 8.5 by 11. We are not printing them out full page 8.5 by 11, but we're going to format these 8.5 by 11 so we can have some flexibility and make sure the ratio is correct. So in page setup, I did custom and I made them 11 by 8.5. So they're going to be landscape pages. The next step is it's just a simple text box. And we are going to format our text with these less than and greater than signs. Put a single word between them just to make it easier. But this is going to be replaced with the name of the student. This is going to be replaced by the type of the artwork. And this is going to be replaced by the description. Once you have the page set up and that text box done, you are done with your template for the merge. Second, we need a spreadsheet with our information in it. So I created this spreadsheet called Art Show. In the first column, I put the students' names. And the students' names are exactly how the spelling and the punctuation, exactly how I want them to show up on the card. Formatting, fonts, font size, bolding, does not matter at all, because the merge is going to take the formatting we used in the template and replace it with that. So I have 3 items in my template, and I have 3 items in my spreadsheet. Name, type, and description. So I have my 20 students here. Now that we have what information we're putting in the cards and the slides we're doing, we're ready to automate. We're going to use an add-on called Autocrat. And it pops right up for me. If it doesn't for you, you can search for it. We're going to add the Autocrat add-on. And it's going to ask for permission because it needs to be able to do a few things in your Google Docs. And then it tells you how to find it. I have a new add-on up here called Autocrat. We need to set it up. So down in the bottom right is new job. And it might look a little different for you because I've gone through this a couple of times. So it might show something a little bit different setting up the new job, but the steps are the same. So we're going to name our job and hit next. Now we want to use our template, and you notice it says recently used. That's because I was practicing a little bit before. And we're going to use our art show placards template. If you can't find it, you can go from Drive and do a search for it. And you notice I named it template up here to make it easier to find. So we have art shows placards template as my template. Now it wants to know these are the fields it found in my template. Remember the less than name, type, and description? Now it wants to know which columns in our spreadsheet go to those fields. So this one is, and we need to tell it which sheet to pull it from. So it's pulling it from sheet 1, and there's one header row because that's where we put name, type, and description. And the first data row is in row 2. See, Frida is in row 2. So we want to name, map to name, type, map to type, description, description, map to description. And when you name the templates the same as your columns, that makes that part a little bit easier. Now we need to give it a name. Make it a Google slide. You can have it exported as a PDF. I like to export it as an editable document type. So if I do need to make a slight just change on a student, I can make the change on that student's slide without having to rerun the whole process. Now, multiple output mode or single output mode. I want all of these in the same Google Slides. I don't want 20 different Google Slides. So I'm going to change this to single output mode. So I have a file name, Google Slides, single output mode. Now, where do I want to put it? I want to put it in my Art Show 2021 folder. Nope, I don't need to open it. But it's already got that selected because that's what I selected. But if I was going to use the choose, then I can select it. And don't double click on it, just click on the folder you want and then hit select. If you double click on it, it thinks you're going to select a folder inside. And I don't need both those folders there. So we're going to put it in that folder. Don't worry about that. Anything that you don't know, it means just hit next. We're not doing any merge conditions, hit next. We don't need to share the document, hit next. We don't need, this is if you're merging from a Google form, we don't need those. And there's no more next, so now we have to hit save. So now that we have the job, and there's two of them here because I had already created one of these before, and I don't know why it keeps on showing up, but. So here is my create placards. So that job, once it's done, it's done. I can reuse the spreadsheet, put in new information, hit create placards, and it's going to create new ones. I might want to change that date because right now it says Art Show 2021, so I might want to edit that part. But for the most part, once you're done, you can reuse it. And now I just hit run job. And we're done. If I go to my Art Show folder, which is where I put everything, there's the new one we just created. If I open it up, you'll notice I have a card made up for each one of those students. Now the second part of this, these are formatted for letter size pages. We don't want to print these out letter size. We want something a little bit smaller. So if we go to print settings and preview, there's an option here, one slide to a page without notes. Well, there are different things down here, and 6 slides to a page. We can print them out and then cut those out. Now these are approximately 3 inches wide, so these might be a little small. You might want to do 4 per page. But now we can get them all on 5 pages, and you can't get rid of this border around them. So you can either use that to cut or try to cut them out a little differently. But now I just print this out and I have placards made up for every single student. That's it for today. Hopefully you got something out of this. If so, be sure to like this video down below and also check out my website over at educate.me. Stay classy.